For centuries, Pennsylvania's historic towns have preserved landmarks from America's revolutionary past, with streets and buildings that trace back to the 1700s. But beyond these familiar sights are remarkable places few have seen, until now. The Kinzua Bridge, once the world's tallest railroad structure, now stands partially destroyed, its twisted steel frozen in mid-collapse. Atop a mountain, a Japanese pagoda rises inexplicably from Pennsylvania forest, its crimson silhouette visible for miles. And hidden in dense woodland, Yellow Dog Village sits abandoned. Its houses remain untouched, still holding personal belongings, frozen in time like a real-life ghost town. Join me as we uncover the most extraordinary corners of Pennsylvania, places so unreal they might just change the way you see this state forever. The Allegheny National Forest spans over 500,000 acres and is the sole national forest in Pennsylvania. Its name derives from the Allegheny River, rooted in a term used by indigenous peoples, loosely interpreted as fair waters. Historically, the area faced extensive logging in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, stripping much of its old-growth trees. Designated a national forest in the 1920s, its focus shifted to land recovery. Today, it is recognised for the thick regrowth of hardwood forests, particularly black cherry, a sought-after material for woodworking. Flowing through the forest, the Allegheny River is a major tributary of the Ohio River. It was a vital transportation route for Native American tribes and later for early European settlers. The river's path was permanently altered by the Kinzua Dam, which mitigated flooding but reshaped ecosystems. It has since been classified as a national, wild and scenic river in sections, preserving it from damming and overdevelopment. Interestingly, despite being in the eastern part of the country, the Allegheny River flows north for a significant distance before turning south again. Today, the river's clear currents support kayaking and fishing, with stretches designated for wild trout. Kinzua Bridge State Park centres on the remains of a once record-breaking railroad viaduct. Constructed in the late 1800s to transport coal and timber, the original iron structure was one of the tallest and longest railroad bridges of its kind. In 2003, a tornado destroyed 2/3 of the bridge, leaving twisted steel frames clinging to the valley. Instead of removing the wreckage, it was left in place and is now a central part of the park. The surviving section was repurposed into a pedestrian skywalk with a partial glass floor offering views of the forest below. The visible wreckage below is used to teach about engineering failures, extreme weather, and structural stress. Jim Thorpe is a town in eastern Pennsylvania known as the Switzerland of America due to its Victorian architecture and historic buildings. It is named after the Olympic athlete James Jim Thorpe, following a posthumous agreement to relocate his remains there. The town was once a major industrial hub, especially during the height of the coal industry. It played a central role in anthracite coal transportation, serving as a key point on the Lehigh Canal and later for railroads. The Asa Packer mansion stands above the town of Jim Thorpe, overlooking the streets below. It was the home of Asa Packer, a coal and railroad magnate who played a key role in the expansion of the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Packer made his fortune transporting anthracite coal from the mines of northeastern Pennsylvania to larger markets. The railroad he expanded changed the region's economy and connected it to national industries. Located in northeastern Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountains are recognised for their resorts and outdoor recreation. The area transitioned from indigenous hunting grounds to a 19th century retreat for urban elites seeking wilderness escapes. Early resorts catered to honeymooners and working families with swimming pools, ballrooms, and seasonal entertainment. Its reputation as a honeymoon destination further grew in the mid-20th century, popularised by resorts promoting heart-shaped tubs and secluded cabins. Lake Wallenpaupack, a man-made reservoir, was created to generate hydroelectric power. Unlike natural lakes, this one involved the relocation of entire communities and cemeteries during its creation. The lake now draws boating and fishing, and even serves as a centre for vacation homes. Ice formations in winter attract climbers, while summer months see floating docks crowded with swimmers. Bushkill Falls, nicknamed the Niagara of Pennsylvania, is a series of 8 waterfalls privately owned since the early 1900s. Wooden staircases and bridges allow access to steep gorges, though early visitors faced fines for attempting to climb rocks. Tobyhanna Creek, fed by natural springs, is a cold water fishery supporting trout populations. Winding through the Pocono Plateau, it eventually merges with the Lehigh River, but it passes through some of the quietest and least developed parts of the region along the way. Reading takes its name from the English town of Reading, chosen by early settlers. Once a centre for railroads and manufacturing, the city is tied to the iconic Reading Railroad, featured in the board game Monopoly. It also claims a historical role in pretzel production, with automated bakeries emerging here in the early 20th century. The Reading Pagoda, a Japanese-inspired structure atop Mount Penn, was built as a luxury hotel but never opened due to financial disputes. Its designer later converted it into a restaurant, which closed after a fire. The city acquired it in the 1900s, adding bells gifted by Japan and a carillon that malfunctioned mid-installation, leaving some bells silent. The pagoda's red facade and electric lights make it visible for miles, and it even briefly housed a radio tower. Gettysburg National Military Park surrounds the town of Gettysburg and preserves the site of one of the most well-known battles in American history. It is known for its role in a major Civil War battle, as the fighting lasted for several days and involved thousands of troops. The Confederate charge, known as Pickett's Charge, ended in heavy losses and is still studied for its tactics and consequences. Today, the park features over 1,300 monuments and markers, many placed by veterans who fought there. It is named after the town itself, which was founded decades before the battle took place as a farming settlement. After the battle, the town's population was outnumbered by the dead, making the cleanup massive and slow, as farmers' fields were littered with debris, bodies, and equipment. Intercourse is a small village in Lancaster County, known for its Amish influence, traditional markets, and handmade goods. The name has drawn attention for its unusual nature, often leading to curiosity, jokes, and souvenir sales. The village became a common stop for travellers heading in different directions, and soon a popular trading spot for farmers and merchants. Interestingly, its storefronts sell many goods that are made by hand using techniques passed down through generations. Horse-drawn buggies move along the same streets as cars, and hitching posts are still found near shops. Tourism plays a large role in the village's daily life, but many residents maintain older ways of living, as electricity, cars, and even photography are avoided by many locals. This is mainly because of the Amish culture practiced by the residents, which is a lifestyle that is based on simplicity, community, and religious beliefs. This results in the avoidance of modern technology, relying on manual labour and horse-powered farming, as they emphasise community separation. Decisions about what is allowed or not are guided by a set of unwritten rules known as the Ordnung, which can vary from one district to another. Lancaster County farms are famous for their productivity and traditional methods, being one of the top agricultural regions in Pennsylvania. Many owned by Amish or Mennonite families, these farms avoid the use of chemical sprays and high-tech machinery, instead opting for horse-drawn ploughs with soil-tilling methods unchanged for generations. They prioritise crop diversity, rotating corn, tobacco, and alfalfa to maintain soil health. Farmers' markets sell produce directly, while roadside stands offer shoofly pie and fresh eggs. The county also hosts dairy auctions, where families bid on cows bred for high milk yields, though it is a practice criticised by animal rights groups. Pittsburgh is a city shaped by rivers, steel, and sharp hills as it sits at the meeting point of three rivers: the Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio. The city's industrial identity emerged from its access to coal and river transport, earning it the nickname Steel City. A 19th century labour strike at a local steel mill turned violent, marking a pivotal moment in labour rights history. Pittsburgh's air quality was notoriously poor during peak industrial activity, described as hell with the lid off. Post-industrial shifts led to revitalisation efforts, including converting steel mills into tech offices and medical research centres. A local university developed the first polio vaccine, a breakthrough credited to collaborative, citywide trials. Point State Park marks the tip of downtown Pittsburgh, where the three rivers meet. The historic park is located on ground that once held forts during colonial wars. A massive fountain now symbolises the river's importance, while a preserved blockhouse serves as the city's oldest structure. Underground tunnels, originally part of the fort, were rediscovered during park renovations. Pittsburgh's hills are dotted with historic homes, some tied to steel barons, abolitionists and early industrialists. The most well-known mansions were built by names like Frick, Mellon and Hines. These houses once showed off new technology such as indoor plumbing, electric lighting, and security systems before they were common. The Cathedral of Learning, a 42-storey Gothic Revival tower, is the tallest educational building in the Western Hemisphere. Built during the Great Depression, its construction relied on small donations from schoolchildren. Despite looking like a Gothic church, it functions as an academic building, containing classrooms, libraries, and special rooms called nationality rooms. Classrooms inside represent global architectural styles, funded by immigrant communities, as it is a significant part of the University of Pittsburgh. Construction was done over many years using both hired workers and volunteer donations, while students helped by carrying bricks or organising fundraisers. Mount Washington overlooks the city and provides one of the most recognised views of Pittsburgh. It was once called Coal Hill because it held underground mines. The mountain's steep slopes were once accessed by coal hoists, later replaced by passenger inclines. These inclines were built to carry workers from the neighbourhoods above to the factories below. They run on tracks and cables powered by motors housed in the upper stations, as riders get a full view of downtown, the rivers and the bridges. Wissahickon Creek Falls takes its name from a Lenape term meaning catfish stream, reflecting its role as a food source for indigenous communities. The falls are part of a wooded gorge preserved within a large urban park named Wissahickon Valley Park, defined by its steep trails and stone bridges built during the 19th century. Historically, the creek-powered colonial-era mills, including one owned by a papermaker whose operation allegedly supplied parchment for early currency. Columbia is a historic town along the Susquehanna River in Lancaster County, significant for its railroad history, iron manufacturing, and early canals. The town was named in honour of Christopher Columbus and was once a serious contender to become the capital of the country, but lost by a narrow vote. During the industrial era, Columbia became a key transportation and shipping hub. It was the endpoint for the Philadelphia and Columbia Railroad, one of the earliest rail lines in the region. Goods moved from rail to canal and then onto riverboats, linking industries inland with larger markets. To slow a Confederate advance during the Civil War, local militia and residents helped burn the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge, a long wooden span that crossed the river, which successfully stopped Confederate troops from entering Lancaster County. Speedwell Forge Lake is located in northern Lancaster County, created by damming Hammer Creek. The lake gets its name from the nearby Speedwell Forge, an old iron-making site that once operated in the area. The forge was named Speedwell as a reference to efficiency and forward motion, a common naming style in early industrial ventures. The original forge processed iron ore from nearby sources using charcoal-fired furnaces, but it closed as industrial demand shifted, leaving the area to transition into a reservoir in the mid-20th century. Unusual aspects include a section of the lake influenced by underground springs, causing sporadic water level changes that expose small islands. Today, the lake is recognised for fishing and wetland conservation, forming part of a protected wildlife area. Bethlehem takes its name from the biblical city chosen by Moravian settlers seeking to establish a religious community. Originally, the Moravians founded Bethlehem as a missionary settlement, emphasizing communal living and craftsmanship, which later influenced its economic structure. The Moravians were religious refugees from Central Europe who built a planned community based on shared labour, education, and faith. However, the city eventually became a steel production epicentre, anchored by the Bethlehem Steel Corporation and becoming known for its industrial history. The Moravian church in Bethlehem, central to the city's founding, reflects the sect's austere architectural style. As one of the oldest Moravian congregations in the US, it was built with hand-cut limestone, featuring a simple interior devoid of religious icons, aligning with the denomination's emphasis on humility. The church wasn't just a place of worship, it served as a school, hospital, and town centre due to the emphasis on communal living. York, named after the English city, originated as a colonial settlement focused on agriculture and trade. It became a temporary national capital during a political crisis, hosting debates that shaped early governance. In fact, it is often argued to be the first capital of the United States since it hosted the Continental Congress in 1777. This was especially supported by the fact that the Articles of Confederation were drafted and adopted during that period. The city later industrialised, producing machinery, textiles, and the first commercially marketed peppermint patty. The York Fair, one of the oldest continuous fairs, began as a livestock exhibition, but expanded to include carnival rides and controversial sideshows. St Mary's Church is one of the oldest Catholic churches in the region and a long-standing religious centre for York. Founded by German immigrants, the original building has been rebuilt, expanded, and renovated multiple times due to fire, structural decay, and shifting needs. Armenia Mountain Wind Farm is a large wind energy project located on a high ridge in northern Pennsylvania, characterised by its long rows of wind turbines stretching across farmland and forest. The area gets strong, steady wind due to its elevation, making it a natural fit for energy production. The wind farm generates electricity for thousands of homes in the region and is part of a broader push for alternative energy in the state. Ohiopyle, derived from a term meaning white frothy water in a Native American language, centres around a river gorge and falls known for powerful rapids. The small town emerged as a logging and rail hub, with trains transporting timber and coal until the mid-20th century. The falls, part of a river carved through sandstone, became a focal point for whitewater rafting. Early industrial attempts to harness the falls for hydropower failed, leaving remnants of stone dams. During the height of the railroad era, excursion trains brought visitors from nearby cities to see the waterfalls and escape industrial life. Its transition to outdoor recreation began when railroads abandoned the area, leaving tunnels and bridges repurposed for hiking trails. Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania, known currently as a political centre and a former industrial hub for steel and textiles. The site was chosen for its location along the Susquehanna River and its proximity to trade routes moving goods through the region. Its role in early transportation networks, including canals and railroads, fueled growth, though periodic floods challenged development. The city processed coal, iron and steel, and supported factories that produced farm equipment, tools and military supplies. Its central location gave it logistical importance during several wars, and it grew rapidly with the expansion of industry. The Pennsylvania state capital sits in the centre of Harrisburg and serves as the seat of government. Modelled after St. Peter's Basilica, it is designed in a grand Beaux-Arts style and features a dome topped with a gilded statue. The dome was inspired by religious architecture and built using steel from Pennsylvania mills. Its construction involved a graft scandal, resulting in prison terms for the architect and contractors. However, interior murals, criticised for including controversial historical figures, remain unaltered due to preservation laws. The Capitol's lawn, once a grazing site for legislators' horses, now hosts protests and food trucks. The Susquehanna River, central to Harrisburg's identity, shaped trade routes and flooded repeatedly, prompting levees and flood walls. One of the longest rivers on the East Coast, it is also one of the oldest river systems in the region and has shaped the city's layout. Ferries once crossed it daily, though bridges now stretch across at multiple points, some for cars, others for trains or pedestrians. One of the most well-known is the Rockville Bridge, which was built for rail traffic and is among the longest of its kind, though it was nearly demolished before preservationists intervened. Recreational use of the river is common today, with kayakers, anglers and boaters sharing the space with barges and rescue teams. Wormleysburg is a small borough located along the western bank of the Susquehanna River, just across from Harrisburg. Its strategic position near a major bridge made it a transportation link, initially for ferries and later for railroads. However, the borough's low-lying geography left it prone to flooding, prompting elevated construction of later buildings. Erie, named after the Erie's people who once inhabited the region, is a lakeside city shaped by its position on Lake Erie. The city's economy historically relied on shipbuilding, fishing and manufacturing, with a naval fleet constructed here during a 19th century conflict. Its location gave it access to the Great Lakes, which meant connections to trade routes that stretched far beyond the region. One of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, is the shallowest and warmest of the Great Lakes, and also the most prone to storms. It forms Pennsylvania's northern border, with ice-breaking ferries once connecting it to Canada, their routes now marked by seasonal buoy lines. At times it has struggled with pollution and algae blooms, but cleanup efforts have seen some success. Presque Isle State Park is a curved sand peninsula that extends into Lake Erie and forms a natural bay. As a dynamic peninsula, it shifts shape due to wind and waves, requiring constant sand replenishment. Its lagoons formed from a 19th century canal project abandoned after funding lapsed. Presque Isle Lighthouse, built after a schooner wreck, guided ships from 1873 until automation. The lighthouse's foghorn, disliked by residents for its noise, was silenced in the 1980s, but temporarily restored as a tourist attraction. The Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area stretches along the border of the state and its neighbour New Jersey. Encompassing 70,000 acres along the Delaware River, it is a geological formation where erosion carved a steep valley. Indigenous peoples used the gap as a travel corridor, with petroglyphs and tool fragments found along riverbanks. A mid-20th century plan to dam the river and flood the valley sparked protests, halting construction and establishing the area as a protected zone. The town of Mannheim was founded by an ironmaster and glassmaker as a planned industrial community. Defined by its early glassworks and orderly grid layout, the town's central square features a clock tower flanked by Sphinx statues. It was laid out with wide streets and a central square designed to attract settlers and workers. However, the town's economy ended up relying on iron furnaces and a rail line connecting mills. One of the most unusual facts about Mannheim is that it hosted one of the earliest recorded balloon ascensions in the region. A local inventor tried to replicate European balloon experiments and launched a handmade hot air balloon from a field, though the flight did not last long as it got caught in a tree. Centralia is a near-abandoned town in Columbia County, known for the underground coal mine fire that has been burning beneath it for decades since 1962. The town was once a coal mining hub, built around the anthracite industry that fueled homes, factories, and railroads. A subterranean coal fire ignited accidentally in a landfill, spreading through abandoned mine tunnels. Toxic gases and ground collapses forced most residents to relocate, though a handful refused to leave. Referred to as the sweetest place on Earth, the town of Hershey is home to Hershey's Chocolate World and Hershey Park. Named after chocolatier Milton S. Hershey, it was established as a company town to support chocolate manufacturing operations. Designed as a model community, the town provided housing, schools, and recreational facilities for workers. The town's streetlights, shaped like Hershey's Kisses, and roads named Cocoa Avenue and Chocolate Avenue reflect its confectionery roots. Streets were named after cocoa-growing regions and chocolate terms, while factory whistle signals once kept time for the entire community. Workers lived nearby, and many families had multiple generations employed by the company. Philadelphia, derived from the Greek word for brotherly love, was founded as a planned city and served as a temporary political capital. As the state's largest city, it is renowned for colonial-era landmarks, cheese steaks, and the Liberty Bell. Its grid layout became a model for urban planning. Early industries included printing and shipbuilding, while its docks facilitated trade and immigration. The 1918 influenza pandemic prompted the first mandatory mask order in public spaces, enforced by fines. The city claims the first computer, developed for military calculations, is now displayed in a university lab. Cheesesteak rivalries between two iconic eateries sparked a decades-long feud, with legal disputes over sandwich trademarks. The Philadelphia Museum of Art is one of the premier art museums in the country, known for its grand neoclassical building and extensive collections. The museum's vaults hold looted art recovered post-World War II, while a hidden tunnel connects to a nearby waterworks. Beyond its collections, it is famously associated with a pop culture moment. Its broad front staircase, the Rocky Steps, achieved iconic status after featuring in the 1976 film Rocky. In the movie's triumphant training montage, boxer Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone, runs up the 72 stone steps to celebrate his determination. A bronze statue of Rocky, originally a movie prop, now stands at the base of the steps as a popular photo spot. The Independence Hall of Philadelphia is a modest brick building, iconic for being the birthplace of the United States of America. Originally built as the Pennsylvania State House in the 1700s, this Georgian-style hall served as the colonial legislature's home. In its assembly room, on July 4, 1776, delegates of the 13 colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence, declaring a new nation. "11 years later, in 1787, representatives met in the same room to draft and sign the US Constitution. The Liberty Bell is one of the most enduring symbols of American freedom, famous for its resonant message and its distinctive crack. Cast in bronze, the bell was originally ordered in 1751 to hang in Independence Hall and call lawmakers to session. It arrived from London and cracked on its very first test ring, prompting local founders John Pass and John Stowe to melt and recast it 2 years later. It toured nationally to promote unity before being barred from travel due to damage. Philadelphia City Hall, once the world's tallest habitable building, features a statue of the city's founder, William Penn. Constructed from 1872 to 1901 in ornate Second Empire style, this massive masonry edifice serves as the seat of Philadelphia's municipal government. Its sheer scale was unprecedented, with over 630 rooms and an interior courtyard. It remains the largest municipal building in the United States. The Schuylkill River is the lesser known of Philadelphia's two major rivers, flowing from Pennsylvania's coal regions about 135 miles to join the Delaware at Philadelphia. The name Schuylkill comes from Dutch settlers of the 1600s and means hidden stream, supposedly because the river's mouth was hard to spot behind Delaware's islands and marshes. Over the centuries, the Schuylkill became vital for industry as it was made navigable by the Schuylkill Canal to transport anthracite coal. However, industrial use led to heavy pollution, and the river was once even frozen solid enough for ice harvesting. By the mid-20th century, the river was choked with coal silt and waste, but clean-up efforts restored much of its health. In the 1970s, It was named Pennsylvania's first scenic river, and today its banks are lined with parkland and trails rather than factories. One Liberty Place is the skyscraper that broke Philadelphia's long-standing height barrier and forever changed the city's skyline. Completed in 1987 at 61 stories, it was the first building in Philadelphia to rise higher than the statue of William Penn atop City Hall. For nearly a century before, no developer had dared to violate the gentleman's agreement, keeping buildings below the 548-foot level of Penn's Hat. Philadelphia's Inquirer building, historically known as the Elverson Building, is a landmark that represents the city's long and influential print journalism tradition. This white glazed terracotta tower was built to serve as the headquarters of the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper. The newspaper is one of America's oldest newspapers, being the third oldest surviving daily in the US. The Benjamin Franklin Bridge is a monumental suspension bridge that links Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with Camden, New Jersey, across the Delaware River. When it opened on July 1, 1926, it was known simply as the Delaware River Bridge, and it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. Interestingly, its opening was perfectly timed to happen with Philadelphia's sesquicentennial exposition, celebrating 150 years of American independence. 30 years later, the bridge was officially renamed the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, in honour of Philadelphia's most famous founding father. Today, it carries a lot of traffic, and more with 7 lanes for vehicles, 2 Patco train tracks that connect suburban New Jersey with the city, and walkways for pedestrians and cyclists. The SS United States, a retired ocean liner, holds transatlantic speed records as the fastest passenger ship in the world. This incredible speed was due to radical design choices, as it was built almost entirely of steel and aluminum to reduce weight, making it the world's largest aluminum construction project at the time. Its stripped interior, once containing asbestos, awaits redevelopment. Yellow Dog Village was originally built in the 1910s as housing for cement plant workers. The name comes from the term yellow dog contract, a type of unfair deal in the early 1900s that banned workers from joining a union and forced them to sign or risk losing their jobs. Over time, economic decline and bad water systems caused people to abandon the village, and nature began taking over, transforming it into a ghost town. This is Pennsylvania, a land of hidden wonders and remarkable architectural marvels. Now, if you don't want to miss the most unreal wonders of Alaska, check out this video.